Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Beautiful third time.
Donald Trump has been hinting at a 2024 presidential run, throwing up the idea everywhere he goes.
Donald Trump could win the 2024 presidential race. I'm not the one saying this. American bookies are. They say the market is placing its bets on Trump.
Trump also scored more on the question, which asked people who the better president was. 51% backed Trump, just 40% backed Biden.
A Republican president will make a triumphant return to the White House, and I wonder who that will be.
Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. Welcome to Veracity. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. I don't know if Ron is running. I don't ask him. It is his prerogative. I think I would win. As you can see, these words clearly indicate that Trump will be running for the 2024 presidential election after he made this statement to the New Yorker magazine just recently. However, this is not the first time that Trump hinted at running against Biden in 2024. There are several hidden landmines about his return that most of us failed to notice in the past. In December of 2020, he openly told this to Republicans at the White House Christmas party.
But it's been an amazing 4 years. We're trying to do another 4 years, otherwise I'll see you in 4 years.
Yes! And during an appearance at CPAC, he again gave a hint by stating this.
This is some crowd. We broke the record again. But they're going to find out the hard way starting on November 8th. And then again, even more so on November 2024. We can build it back again quickly and even better than before because they have lost all credibility. They've proven during this period of time that their policies are a disaster and that their policies don't work.
Not to forget, at the Georgia rally, he said, and now we just may have to do it again. And recently, to the New Yorker, he said he is very close to making a decision. However, will DeSantis decide to stand against highly acclaimed Trump? Well, as per his statement, DeSantis has openly stated that he has no plans to run for the president and clarified that he is focused on his re-election in the upcoming midterms. Although DeSantis also rose to national fame after fighting Biden's unconstitutional policies, the rumors about ongoing tussles between Trump and DeSantis have been denied by both. Trump described DeSantis as a good guy who's doing a good job, and DeSantis' office dismissed the infight rumors and argued that they are being used by corporate media activists to distract people from the failures of the Biden administration.
Insurance policies, even for a lawyer that's been doing this for a long time, they're very complicated. I mean, they're thick. If you've ever tried to read an insurance policy, it's very difficult to read. It's not written plain language. There's lots of loopholes in it, lots of exclusions.
But the insurance industry, they continuously provide propaganda to policyholders, to homeowners, that makes them extremely vulnerable in times like this. Because
you're on good hands.
If you notice, think of the slogans, and you will find something in the slogans that all has the common theme. You're in good hands. We're on your side. Okay? You know, we are like a good neighbor. What they're telling people is that they're on their side of the claim. Now, if they're getting sued, they are. But if they lose their home, it's a lie, Dimitri, for them to say they're on your side. It's a lie to say that they're in good hands.
The Oceana Grill restaurant from New Orleans, which is well known for its seafood, has now become the first restaurant in the country to recover all the loss it suffered since the COVID-19 lockdowns from their insurance company. So, if your insurance policy covers a clause for the recovery of loss in case of contamination of buildings and the food inside the building by viruses, then restaurant owners must come forward to recover their claim. However, to achieve this, the Oceana Grill parent company suffered a massive setback in February 2021 when the state court issued an order in favor of the insurance company of the restaurant, Lloyd's of London, and rejected Oceana Grill's recovery claim. Nevertheless, after the restaurant filed an appeal in the Louisiana State Court, the judge on June 15th allowed Oceana Grill to recover all the losses since March 20th, 2020. John Hoftailing, who represented the restaurant, handed over clear-cut evidence to the court by arguing that around 2011, which is almost a decade before COVID-19, the leaders of the Insurance Service Office, ISO, organized a meeting with the insurance commissioners across the country and openly admitted that the insurance policies for business interruption do provide coverage for the contamination of buildings and the food inside the buildings by viruses. Furthermore, they also described how viruses can contaminate buildings, how they can contaminate food sources in buildings, and they stated to insurance commissioners that this incurs business interruption losses. Although this evidence immediately turned the case in favor of the restaurant, it is astonishing to notice that many people are not aware of the clauses that are mentioned in their insurance policies. Because if clauses like this exist in your insurance policy, and if people had taken initiative in court in that favor, then Oceana Restaurants wouldn't have been the first restaurant to achieve this milestone. People would have already recovered their losses by raising their claim either before, during, and immediately after COVID-19 lockdown. John Hoftailing also stressed this point by stating, "Unfortunately, not many people know this evidence exists, and not many courts know it exists. We have been getting these adverse rulings across the country because litigants don't know that the evidence is out there. Cases were thrown out because plaintiffs weren't able to do the discovery." So, if a clause like this exists in your insurance policy, I suggest you check it out today because as per the 2021 financial report of Lloyd's of London, it gained a profit of an enormous $2.3 billion, which shows how much profit these insurance companies make by taking advantage of our fears or our uncertainty.
That's the view of the chairman of Lloyd's of London, the world's oldest insurance marketplace. Lloyd's return to profit in the first half, helped by a strong underwriting result and a sizable jump in insurance premiums.
In the end, John Hoftailing, while pointing his finger at the insurance company, said this: "They know they are not telling the truth. They know that they admitted that contamination is covered under policies unless it's excluded."
But when it comes to their culture agenda, apparently now suddenly they've discovered, all right, give up the money because lesbian toys are more important.
Despite being extremely popular with kids, Toy Story's latest franchise, Lightyear, is struggling at the box office. In 2010, Toy Story 3 became the first animated film to make over $1 billion in 2019. Then Toy Story 4 grabbed an enormous $238 million during its opening. But Lightyear is barely managing to cross the $50 million mark during its first 3 days open. So what happened? Well, it seems Pixar, which is a Disney subsidiary, overestimated how woke American families are when it comes to breaking traditional family values. Disney decided to install a same-sex kissing scene in the movie. I imagine that is a retaliation against the parental rights education legislation in Florida. Well, it has seemed to have backfired, and they are now facing the wrath of the parents in the form of boycott. This hypothesis has been confirmed by well-known Canadian professor Jordan Peterson when he tweeted this: "This is so unfortunate, the revenge of the market." Peterson argued that Americans are by no means enthused by woke corporate activists shoving leftist viewpoints down their throats. Since the passing of parental rights education legislation, Disney has openly stated that it will retaliate against that legislation by installing more gay characters into their movies. However, their naive action has now resulted in a low rating for Lightyear on IMDb. According to a recent poll, around 64% of Americans strongly supported the parental rights legislation, and around 67% of Americans declared that Disney was wrong in opposing this legislation because this legislation would protect children from inappropriate topics that should be discussed only by their parents.
For Disney to come out and put a statement and say that the bill should have never passed and that they are going to actively work to repeal it, I think one was fundamentally dishonest, but two, I think that crossed the line. This state is governed by the interest of the people of the state of Florida. It is not based on the demands of California corporate executives. They do not run this state. They do not control this state.
Now, Chris Evans, who is the actual voice behind Buzz Lightyear, came forward in Disney's defense to say this.
I mean, I think throughout history you can see every time there's been social advancement as we wake up. I mean, the American story, the human story is one of constant social awakening and growth, and that's what makes us good. And you know, when that happens, there's always going to be people who are afraid and unaware and trying to hold on to what was before. But those people die off like dinosaurs. And so, you know, I think the goal is to pay them no mind, march forward, and embrace the growth that makes us human.
An explosive political ad catching new heat this morning. Republican Senate candidate Eric Greitens, flanked by a team dressed in tactical gear, all armed with guns, storming a home, saying in the ad they're hunting rhinos, or Republicans in name only, a derogatory term for GOP members seen as not loyal enough to the party.
In yet another step by the tech giants to control our freedom of speech, Facebook recently blocked the campaign advertisement of the Missouri Senate candidate Eric Greitens by declaring it violated their policies prohibiting violence and incitement. In his ad targeting corrupted Republicans, Greitens stated, "We are sick and tired of the Republicans in name only, surrounding Joe Biden and the radical left. Order your rhino hunting permit today." Furthermore, in his ad, he also defined rhino as the one who feeds on corruption and is marked by the stripes of cowardice. The clip then also showed a tactical-style team entering a building before Greitens calls on supporters to get a rhino hunting permit. However, when he posted the same video on Twitter, it did not remove the ad but decided to put a disclaimer on it that said, "This tweet violated the Twitter rules about abusive behavior." Now, let me take you back to July 2018. Facebook intentionally blocked a post that shared some of the significant statements from the Declaration of Independence. And the reason given by the company for removing that content was hate speech.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry. I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here.
Also, another egregious situation with Facebook happened in February 2022. London-based Nina Jane Patel was gang raped in Facebook's metaverse within 60 seconds of her joining the platform Horizon Venues. She said, "My physiological and psychological responses was as though it happened in reality. I don't know their identities or their avatars' names, so I cannot go back and report or block." Later, Facebook added a personal boundary on each user to ensure no one comes close to their avatar without their permission.
Her avatar was raped by other users. Let me repeat. Her virtual avatar was gang raped by other metaverse users.
So does this mean that tech giants will first exploit the people through technology and then apologize for their mistake? What powers do citizens have in their hands to punish these companies for such inhumane acts? And what if Facebook didn't apologize for removing the post of the Declaration of Independence? This shows we are only a few steps away from being in complete control of these tech giants, unless we take control of our data. In the end, Greitens said, "There's no bagging limit, there's no tagging limit, and it doesn't expire until we save our country. Facebook censored our new ad calling out the weak rhinos. When I get to the US Senate, we are taking on big tech." Thank you all for spending time with me. Now don't forget, please check out this video up here and then join me tomorrow at the same time so that we can discuss more truths happening in America. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.